Good morning. It's good to see all of you here. I'm thankful that there are those that are also watching online. We don't mention them every time, but they're there. They're with us. They're not able to be out, some of them, due to health concerns and other issues that they deal with. But we're thankful that they're with us, and we're certainly thankful you're with us today. Do you ever look around you and have the sense, at least in your life, that the devil's winning? All the evil that goes on around us, all the murders that go on, all the assaults. And then when you look really closely, sometimes you say, well, you know, that fellow over there doesn't do anything for the Lord, but he's way better off than I am financially. He's got it going. I don't. Have you ever thought those kind of thoughts? The psalmist thought exactly that. He went through those very feelings, and he set it down in words, which I find in some ways comforting and in other ways challenging. Asaph gives us a glimpse, as it were, a glimpse into why we ought to give thanks even in troubled times. As he begins thinking about it, laying it before us, the very first thing that he sets forth is, I was wrong. I wronged God when I'm bitter. Listen to him. Chapter 73, Psalm, verses 21 and 22. And I'm taking this from the because we're doing the will of the Lord. Brethren, our challenge today is to recognize what Asaph finally recognized about himself. When I acted like I did, when I thought that the rich were better off than me, the wicked rich were better off than me, when I thought that, I realized that I was like a beast. I was bitter toward God, and I didn't appreciate all He'd done for me. So what's his answer? What do you do once you realize that? And the answer is, first of all, give thanks for God's companionship. Now, just look at what he has to say. Go down to verse 23 and hear him as he continues. Nevertheless, I am continually with you, and you hold me by my right hand. God's there. He's with us. It's a constant, always present. In fact, Asaph would go on in verses 75 and 70, or 25 and 26. Here's what he said: Whom have I in heaven but you? And there's none upon earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Everybody else may abandon me. And there's some people that literally that's what's happened. All human beings have abandoned them. They've been left alone. They don't feel like they can rely on anybody. They've been betrayed. They've been mistreated by so many people. But for the Christian, we can be just like Asaph. We can say, God, you're with me. Who have I got that's a better friend than God? We sometimes sing the song, What a Friend I Have in Jesus, and that is the truth. Because He'll be with us no matter what. I think Asaph began to understand it. The Lord understood it. Go, if you would, to the book of John, John chapter 11. And this, of course, is Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus. He is asking them now to roll away the stone. And listen to what he has to say there, beginning in verse 41. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. And I know that you always hear me. But because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. God, I know you always hear me. That's the message Jesus delivers. Do you ever wonder how he could be so calm in some of the events of his life? I mean, they were going to throw him off of the hillside in Nazareth. They were going to kill him. That was what they intended to do. But with calmness, he just walks through the crowd and he's gone. Now, that's amazing to me. If you look again at the book of John, in yet another case, on down to chapter 16, in verse 32, listen to what he says. Indeed, the hour is coming, yes, has now come, that you will be scattered, each to his own, and will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. That confidence is what carried Jesus all the way through his life. He didn't focus on what the Jewish leaders had, how many people would yield to them and listen to them, when some would not even listen to him, when some only followed him because of the loaves and the fishes. He didn't focus on that kind of a thing. Instead, he focused on this fact: God is there. He's not going to leave me alone. Now, brethren, could I make a little side note here? To me, that makes the cross all the more astounding. my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Throughout his entire life, especially his earthly ministry, he always knew that the Father was there. But when he went to the cross for me, suddenly he's not there. I'm not Jesus. You're not either. God has never abandoned us. We may abandon him, but he will not abandon us. He'll stay with us. Don't focus in bitterness on what the wicked have. Focus instead on the great knowledge that we are companions with God. And then that God gives us guidance. Give thanks for God's guidance. Now listen to the writer here as he continues. In verse 24, Asaph says at the beginning, "You will guide me with your counsel." I can trust God to do what's most important. He counsels me. He tells me how to live. Please look, for example, at Psalm chapter 119, verse 105, where he says, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." Sometimes when I say, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to handle this, maybe somebody needs to just look at me and say, "Gary, have you read in Scripture to see what God says? Have you listened to His Word? Do you need that challenge?" In the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, beginning of verse 16, the Apostle Paul says, "All Scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto every good work." Now listen to that last part. Completely furnished to every good work. How am I going to get out of this situation I'm in? If I look to the Bible, it will show me the principles to guide my life. God is my counselor, but I've got to listen to Him. I've got to open up my heart to Him. It's fascinating to read, for example, of Lydia in Acts chapter 16, regarding whom it says that God opened her heart to listen to the words of Paul. What kind of words did Paul deliver? From place to place to place, he constantly was saying, Jesus, the Son of God, died, He was buried, and He rose again the third day. That's the gospel. And ultimately what He'd urge people to do is, guess what? Participate in the gospel. Die. Recognize you're dead in sin. Be buried in a watery grave of baptism, and then raised up to walk in newness of life. That's the imagery that he uses in Romans chapter 6. Will God guide me? Yes. If I let Him. And the beauty of it is, when I let Him, He guides me even in times of temptation. Listen to Paul, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, beginning at verse 13. "There is no temptation overtaking you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you're able, but will also with the temptation make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it." Sometimes the reason that I succumb to temptation is because I don't look for the way out. What about you? God's going to provide it. If you're faithful to Him, He'll be faithful to you. He'll have an open door somewhere. Now, it may be narrow. I don't know. You may have to hunt for it. You may have to sacrifice to use it, but guess what? You don't have to sin. God gives you a way out. Asaph recognized that he could give thanks because God gave him guidance. But then also, he gave thanks because of glory to come. Watch the end of that 24th verse where he continues, and here's what he says, and afterward receive me to glory. Going home. Is there anybody in here that doesn't really like ultimately to go home? I get to travel a fair amount, and I enjoy seeing the sights that God has left for us. Beautiful, beautiful things. But you know what? There's, as Dorothy said in The Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home. And she was right, wasn't she? There's no place like home. My bed may be more lumpy. It may not be nearly as new as wherever I'm staying, but you know what? Home feels pretty good. I'm comfortable there. For the Christian, our ultimate home is not here. Instead, it's in heaven. In fact, Paul in Philippians at the end of chapter 3 says, our citizenship is in heaven. That's where we really belong. That's where our home is. The Apostle Paul understood that. And so in places like 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8, he would write this, we are confident, yet well pleased, rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. I'd rather die and go home and be with Jesus. That's what he said. And it's not the only place he said it. Philippians chapter 1, verse 21, for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. That is only the attitude of a person who really has quit being bitter, has quit focusing on how it's going in this life, and has started thanking God. Thank God for glory to come. It's going to be better. I have a mansion. We sing that, don't we? Mansions over the hilltop. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop, right? Don't we sing that? That needs to be our focus. Going home, listen to Paul in the 23rd verse of Philippians chapter 1 when he goes ahead to say, for I am in a strait betwixt two, having a desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. Do you hear any bitterness in the way that Paul speaks? I don't. If you go to the end of his life and you listen to what he said to Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 4, don't you hear him saying, I'm already being poured out like a drink offering. The time of my departure is at hand. I've fought a good fight. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. Henceforth, because I did all of that, what? There's a crown of righteousness laid up for me. And he says, not for me only, but for all them also that love the Lord's appearing. Asaph teaches us we can give thanks in troubled times. Now, if we focus on the here and now and all the blessings that some wicked people seem to have in their lives, all the wealth that belongs to them, then we may be bitter just like he was. But when we finally look beyond that, we can give thanks. We can give thanks for God's companionship. We can give thanks for his guidance. We can give thanks for glory to come. So the question today is, well, it's pretty simple, isn't it? Which part of Asaph's life are you like? Are you bitter? Or are you hopeful? If you want to change from bitterness to hope, what you need to do right now, what we all need to do, turn our lives over to Jesus. Why don't you come while we sing?